Hi, welcome to section 2 of chapter 18 of the American Pageant. We're going to be talking about the defeat and doom of the Whigs all the way to Congress legislates Civil War. It's all the election of 1852. The Democrats run Franklin Pierce, dude right here in the picture. He supported the Compromise of 1850. He supported the Fugitive Slave Act. The Democrats are a fractured party along territorial lines. So they had to find someone that would appease both the North and the South. And so this was the guy that thought that, hey, he supports compromise, supports the Fugitive Slave Act. Let's pick this guy. The Whigs showed General Winfield Scott as their candidate for president. Apparently they're going to go through just after every general of the Mexican-American War. Let's just stick with all these generals and we can control them behind the scenes. He had the same stances as Pierce, supported the Compromise of 1850, and he supported the Fugitive Slave Act. Okay, yeah, man. Franklin Pierce, by the way, from New Hampshire. So he's a New Englander. And so it's really a battle of personalities is what it comes down to, because you have the same platforms, the same stances for the Whigs and for the Democrats. The Whig Party, though, was more split along sectional ties. They really had problems with the slavery issues. Many Whigs wanted to support free soil and kind of stop the spread of slavery. So there's a lot of dissatisfaction with the candidate or the platform. They didn't like Winfield Scott. They didn't like what they were standing for. And so Franklin Pierce won the election in 1852. And really this marks the end of the Whig Party. That divisiveness, not being able to unify behind one candidate and end the sectional differences, ends the Whig Party and leads to the birth of the modern Republican Party. So here's the electoral map. You can see that the Democrats did quite well. Pierce won the Electoral College by a wide margin. He only won the popular vote by 7,000. The Free Soil candidate, Hale, got 5% of the vote. Here's a video of Millard Fillmore. So here's what's going on here. Kind of what's happening here in America in the 1840s and 50s, and you can see the status of how America has been growing, and basically when these states had slowly abolished slavery. So the victory of the Mexican-American War stimulated the spirit of manifest destiny. And so Americans decided, hey, we took all this stuff. Why not take more stuff? I mean, we're awesome. God loves us. So we should take over Central America. Maybe we could build a canal there and have boats go through there. That sounds fun. And so the Americans and New Granada, which is Colombia, agreed to a treaty in 1848. They guaranteed America's right to use the isthmus in return for America's pledge to allow for any other country to use the isthmus. So basically, hey, you can someday build a canal here as long as you let other people use the canal too. The Clayton-Bulwer Treaty of 1850 said that neither America or Britain would fortify or secure exclusive control of any isthmian waterway. So we're signing treaties with Central America to build a canal to strengthen the power of our Navy. But us in Britain, we're not going to basically have exclusive control over it. We're going to let the rest of the world use it. And we're not going to fortify anything that possibly maybe someday going to be built. Slavocrats, as they're called, sought to expand slavery. They're like, you know what? We should put slaves down there. We should take over everything. Yeah. William Walker, pictured here, installed himself as the president of Nicaragua in July 1856. Wait, what? You're probably wondering what's going on here. Well, the guy with the garrison put himself in power. This American, he legalized slavery, but was eventually surrounded by the surrounding Central American countries and killed in 1816. So he is one of these. He's an adventurer. He tried to seize Baja California from Mexico at one point. He recruited a lot of people from the South, and so he took over Nicaragua. He was called the Gray-Eyed Man of Destiny. Franklin Pierce withdrew diplomatic recognition from the area, and he was killed by a Honduran firing squad in 1860. Hey, good job, William Walker. Here's the proposed canal route. They're going to build one through Nicaragua, through the big lake down there. The British had agents and traders that influenced the natives there. You have British Honduras, which is Belize today. And eventually we decide Panama might be a better place to do it, and we'll come back to that with Theodore Roosevelt. So many Southerners also wanted to take Cuba. Hey, what do you guys think about Cuba? I mean, it's 90 miles south of Florida. We should take that over and have slaves there. That sounds fun. Polk considered to buy it for 100 million bucks. We offered Mexico 25 million for California. Apparently, Cuba's worth 4 times that. I'm not sure how that works. In 1850 to 1851, 2 filibustering expeditions tried to take it for the South. Basically, they tried to negotiate and try to talk about it, and nothing really came of it. In 1854, Cuba seized the ship called the Black Warrior, and Pierce, if he wanted, could have forced war with Spain, which would have united the country with a common enemy. It still doesn't put the whole slavery issue to bed, and you're expanding slavery, which a lot of the Northerners are really not wanting to do, especially with the growing of the Free Soil/Republican Party. So you have the Olmsted Manifesto, which revealed secret negotiations, possibly co-authored by future President James Buchanan, that the United States offered $120 million to buy Cuba from Spain. It's absurd, especially what we were getting for real estate, before that. If refused, we were going to take it. So we'll offer them $120 million. These are secret negotiations, and if not, let's take Cuba. The details of the talks leaked, and Free Soilers and Pierce dropped the idea. Americans were kind of upset about it, and they decided, yeah, never mind. It's kind of it's just a distraction of what's really to come, is this division between the North and the South. Historians have talked about a lot of what happened if we would have taken Cuba. It just would have delayed the inevitable of this big crisis coming between the North and the South. At the same time, we're kind of being fixated with the allure of Asia. You have the Opium War, which is one of the reasons why white people are evil, fought between Britain and China over the rights to British traders to trade opium in China. Pretty much the British didn't have anything that the Chinese wanted to trade with, so they got them hooked on opium. Good job, Britain. Britain won in 1842, gaining control of Hong Kong. And then you have the Treaty of Wangia, which was the first diplomatic agreement between China and America in 1844. And so China back then is the most populated country in the world, like it is today. Huge potential in terms of trade and a partner. And so it expanded trade between the two countries and led to missionaries coming to China to help Christianize some of the people there. Caleb Cushing helped get it signed through this Treaty of Wangia. And then Japan, who's a true hermit. They didn't want to trade with anybody. They really just kept to themselves until Commodore Matthew C. Perry was sent to Japan in 1853 to make contact with this recluse country. Matthew Perry pictured in the painting, not Matthew Perry from Friends. Sorry, it's not Chandler Bing. Eventually, the Treaty of Kanagawa was signed. The Japanese were so impressed by our ships and our technology that small amount of trade was opened up between America and Japan in 1854. It was Japan's first real interaction with the Western world in over 200 years. And with it, America also brought and introduced Japan's second most popular sport, baseball, behind sumo wrestling is their most popular sport. So we introduced baseball to the Japanese, and they love it still. It's very, very popular in Japan. And so we're starting some trade with Asia. Good job. Yay. Here's the flag that actually flew on Commodore Matthew Perry's ship in Tokyo Bay. That flag is now aboard the USS Missouri, which is where the Japanese surrendered in World War II on September 2nd, 1945. Here's a painting of the Treaty of Kanagawa, Matthew Perry coming in 1853. And then you've got California, Oregon. They're too far away from America. They're so far away, it's hard to get to them. It's actually faster and easier to go all the way around South America by boat than go overland across the Great Plains, across the Great Basin and all these things. And so Americans were looking for a way. We've got to be able to get out there easier. Like I said, they would sail around South America. Some people would sail to the Isthmus of Panama, get on a train, go across the isthmus, and get on another boat. That saved some time. That was easier than, say, sailing all the way around South America. The big proposal, though, is a transcontinental railroad. Let's build a railroad from East Coast to West Coast. But once again, this divisional section stuff going on, do we want it in the North or do we want it in the South? Naturally, Northerners want it in the North to help grow their territory. Southerners wanted the South to grow their territory, and so the North and the South are fighting again. Hey, we're debating. They were even considering using camels to cross these deserts. Oh my goodness, they're just getting crazy. They're getting wacky here. So James Gadsden negotiated a treaty in 1853 called the Gadsden Purchase to basically buy this little bit of New Mexico and Arizona for 10 million bucks. They got ripped off, man. They needed it to put the railroad through there, through Tucson and Yuma specifically. And so this was purchased to hopefully potentially build a transcontinental railroad in the South. There was less mountains in the South, and Texas and New Mexico were organized and protected, whereas through the North there's not much going on up there. Just it's unorganized and kind of chaos. Nebraska is the time that they would say was unorganized and full of Indians. So here's the proposed route of this transcontinental railroad to go from Houston to eventually Los Angeles. Eventually, it was the future route of the Southern Pacific Railroad, going through the Gadsden Purchase. And here's a video. You can check it out online on YouTube. I'm not going to show it. It's from Jimmy Fallon's show. It's a little bit about the Gadsden Purchase. So Stephen Douglas of Illinois, the senator here, wanted the Transcontinental Railroad to be in the North. He had big investments in Chicago. In Illinois, he wanted Chicago to be the hub of the railroad industry. And so what he did, basically set fire to the United States through conflict, is he proposed a bill to organize the territories of Kansas and Nebraska, so it wasn't just seen as, disorganized, no government, none of that stuff going on. Let's say organized government, but to get the South to vote for it, we're going to allow popular sovereignty. These residents of Kansas and Nebraska could vote to have slavery or not. It's a gamble on his part. He thinks there's no way that people are actually going to show up in Kansas and Nebraska and actually vote for slavery. So he thinks he's going to trick the South. They're going to put the railroad in the North. Chicago's going to grow. He's going to make money on his investments. And then the residents of Kansas and Nebraska will vote to be free anyway. Haha, take that, South. And so that's his plan, is basically to abandon and shred the Missouri Compromise. It greatly angered Northerners, especially Free Soilers, especially what's emerging to be the Republican Party. And this was passed in 1854. Franklin Pierce fully supported it. It was a chance to grow the North and have the Transcontinental Railroad. Nobody predicted what could have happened, especially in Kansas, because they thought there's no way slavery is going to win in the North. That's not going to happen. People are just going to move there, not from the South, but from the North, and they're going to vote slavery down. And so Stephen Douglas erred, and he didn't realize what was here to come, possibly because he looks remarkably like an Oompa Loompa. Sorry, dude, you're short. So here's him, Missouri. This is Douglas Hatch's A Slavery Problem. Basically, he's got some problem here. You got Dred Scott, you got Free Kansas, you got Missouri. Oh. So here's the proposed route from Omaha to Ogden, Utah, eventually to California. And Kansas and Nebraska were organized in 1854. So the Kansas-Nebraska Act wrecked two compromises. Good job, Stephen Douglas. The Compromise of 1820, that's gone. 3630 line, gone. And the Compromise of 1850 was henceforth rejected by Northerners, just because they wanted the choo-choo train to go to Chicago. The blunder of the Kansas-Nebraska Act actually hurt the Democratic Party. It divided it in two. The Republican Party was formed in the Midwest because of this, really, because it's morally against slavery. It's against the expansion of slavery. The name party included Whigs, Democrats, Free Soilers, Know-Nothings, and just opponents of the Kansas-Nebraska Act. They actually elected the Speaker of the House by 1856. The party was only formed in 1854. This was a quickly growing party that had a lot of potential. Southerners hated the Republican Party. They saw it as a threat to the way of life, and they could not live in a world where the Republicans controlled government. They could tolerate if the Republicans were in control of the House, but if the Republicans ever gained the presidency, we're out of here. No way. So you can see storm clouds of brewing. If you have any questions or comments, put it in the comments. Here's a little timeline of what we talked about. Here's some questions you can discuss and write on if you want to practice. Take care.